It's almost 7 o'clock in the morning. I have been up like 5 or 5.5 hours already. It's so mental. And when I woke up last night, I fell asleep even earlier. It was like 7 o'clock. Stella Zardi had been snoring, and she went in the bedroom and lay down on the ground. And I had the ocean waves on, and I decided I'm just gonna lay on the couch and kind of meditate for a while. But I always fall asleep if I try and meditate. So I was for a while, and then I fell asleep, and then I woke up. All of a sudden, I was so out of it. Oh my God, my head was, it felt like it was 100 pounds, and it was like 9 o'clock. So I fell asleep like at 7:15 or something. So I went to bed, but then at 1:30 I woke up and I didn't know what time it was. I was just laying there and laying there and laying there and laying there. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get up and go pee, see what time it is. So I did, and it was 1:30. I was like, oh my God, this is getting worse and worse every day. Like, I thought when it started way back, when I don't even know. I would have to go back to the video footage and replay to figure out when did it start, where I started complaining about that I was being woke up at 3 and not being able to go back to sleep, because it seems like it's been a while. And I know Stella is a participant in my nightly fucking ordeal, but when I was this morning, so when I got up, because when I was laying there, I was like, okay, because I tried to go back to bed. I tried to go back to sleep. I was trying to relax and stuff. And I just kept feeling like my mind was awake. And so I was like, God, I just got to get up. Like, this is just getting crazier and crazier. But legit, I can always go back to sleep anytime. Like, it's not a set thing. Like, you can only sleep in these hours. Like, if you haven't gotten your sleep, too bad. They'd like to do that, though. Like, I swear to God, the stuff I see is so crazy. But when I got up, I was looking at TikToks, and this girl said, is there anybody else since the full moon who keeps waking up at like 1:30 or 2 in the morning? Like, me. And it's been 3 days, and she said she's having the same thing. And she was saying that she had started waking up like at 3, and now it's like, or was she just saying, oh, I think she was saying right in the past couple days, she's waking up really early like me, but that she was waking up at 3, then 2, and now 1 or something like that. There was something a little different what she was saying. And so I had responded and said, I was having the same thing. And I said, it is weird. And I was reading the comments to see what other people were saying. And there was this one person who said, when you get more spiritually in tune or something, then you'll start waking up at 3 o'clock all the time. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe that was it. Because it was... like I've said before, like the earth has its own kind of frequency going, and all of the little things happening on it creates this like noise. They create noise on top of it with their use of frequency and stuff. Like it's so crazy. It's just with this noise over here, and it just really makes you realize how much noise is disruptive to a person's mental health, to their psyche. This constant noise, it does something. It keeps you like feeling kind of scrambled. A lot of people are having anxiety and stuff like that. But so the earth has its own kind of noise happening, and then the more it kind of settles down, then the more quiet it gets. But then you can hear the universal noise. You can hear the chatter that's going on outside around you. But you have to be more tuned into it to be aware of it, just like the frequency stuff. Because I think most people, when the universe becomes more, I think that a lot of the communication goes into dreams. A lot of people, are in other realms and stuff. So it's not, I don't know. It's just, this place is just so much different than what people think. But anyways, it made me feel good that there was other people who were doing this weird thing with the waking up, because it's so weird. Like I wake up at 1:30 in the morning and be like, okay, it's morning. Like, this is mental. And well, we'll see. Like, I'm not opposed to taking a nap. Like, I'll lay down and take a nap. My daughter's coming today, but she's not going to be here till later. So maybe I'll just go to sleep and then I'll get up when she gets here and hang out with her for a while or something. And so tomorrow I won't videotape, or the next day probably, while she's here, because I'm sure I'm going to be spending a lot of time talking to her. She's got a lot of stuff going on. And I think she's wanting to come just, kind of to talk to her mom. I talked to my mom yesterday for I don't know, I almost said a couple hours. I don't think it was really a couple hours. It might have felt like a couple hours sometimes, and I always kind of acknowledge that. Like, when my kids are talking to me, I always think, oh, I'm sure this feels kind of like how when I'm talking to my mom. Like, there's a certain thing, like, you like to talk to them and stuff, but like there is a whole part where I was being like, she was going on about the voting. She's going to meetings and stuff. She's getting all involved with people who are getting involved. And so she really is wholeheartedly believing, that's what we need to do to make change. We got to vote. And that's how we're going to change things. And I was like, no, because I see way past that. She doesn't see past that. But we have to have, I'm not judging anybody, because we have to have those people. That is the movement of it. That's just not my role in everything happening. But everybody has a different role. And some people is that role. And whatever role somebody is having play out, they're going to get their lessons when things make this abrupt change. Like, that's when so many people will see their own truth and see what it is. I'm waiting for mine. Like, what is my real truth? I'd like to know. But, and this is the thing too, as I really realize, is no matter what, no matter how much you want something or whatever, you don't have control over it. You have to learn to relax and let things play out and let things happen the way they're going to happen. And, I see a lot in the spiritual community where, like, well, if you want it bad enough, or if you focus on it, or if you put this energy, or if you do this, if you do that, then you'll get what you want and stuff. That's not how it works. You don't just get what you want, You don't get what you want when you want it. There's a bigger plan at place, and everything fits together, and everything has its own timing. And you have to, it's kind of like resolve your own emotional stake in it. And you know what, another thing too that I think is really on the surface for me is all of these different people who are freaking out. Like, there's all these different groups, and the ones that are really on the government and politics things, I said, they really get worked up. Like, they really get freaked out because of the stuff they're seeing and where they're headed society in. And these people want people to wake up, because we got to stop this. You got to see the truth and stuff. And, they get really panicky. And that's where I said, sometimes I feel like I'm a crazy person, because I'll start laughing because I know that they know, and it's weird. But so, for those people, see, they don't realize how much they're feeding fear by thinking that can play out. And then it's not really in tune with the earth cycles or spiritual cycles or the cycles of humanity. There's a lot of things to me that would get you, if you looked into it, then you would start understanding more about the changes in the cycles. And the cycles occur. It's out of our hands. There's nothing we can do about it. And as a matter of fact, we all came here to ride this, just like, the surfers all go to those, I don't know, I've seen it before, where there's like this giant wave that happens, once every 100 years, and all the surfers go there to try and, ride this wave, defeat this wave or whatever. And that is what the same thing with all the souls coming here to ride this wave, so that we can learn, so we can grow from this experience. But one of the challenges, see, when everything is shown, the truth is shown, they're going to see, like, all of the things that are being shown to them are it's like truly how they were heading us. It's truly where they wanted to head us. They really wanted us to just become get rid of all the melanin, just have, it's kind of like they were creating Handmaid's Tale, really, because of the target that they did with this and taking out so many young men. I think that's the biggest population being hit right now is it's 84% up of heart things with really young guys. People are just not waking up in the morning and stuff. And so all of that was done on purpose. And then this, making it where they can't, their attack on their reproductive so that they can't procreate, and then isolate the ones that can, and then they are controlled. I mean, you can see what the government wants to do with the control of the kids. I mean, to literally come out and tell people that they can't control their kids, like you literally have to be on the run. They will take you to court and stuff. I've had to go to court over my daughter skipping school, and I had two. And I didn't have to go to court by the time somebody else, my husband or ex-husband, went with the other daughter, or however, whatever happened, that he had to deal with that court thing. I had to do it with the other daughter. And it's some bullshit. The government thinks that they can control us like that. And then to push, like, they can tell us how we have to educate our kids, because and now they've just come right out and said, if you don't do what they say, they're just going to take your kids away from you. Like, it's so crazy how people can't see, and people just continue to play along and do whatever the government says and stuff. But it is waking more and more people up. Like, I'm seeing so many more people now who are completely leaving the system, leaving their homes, leaving the schools, just hitting the road with their kids and just teaching their kids about life on the road, which is what I would do. And I swear to God, if I wasn't, I just feel like it's so close, and I know it will be a runaround to try, and if I were to put my house on the market, it would just be a runaround trying to do that. But to get it on there and then get the money and buy a camper or something, that's totally, I would get a camper with a boat, I swear. Because I swear to God, we are going to need boats. So I think a camper and a boat, and then I would just travel around. And then when things are more ready to be rebuilt or something, I really want to have like I don't know, I can picture like how, like, I love the like fisherman kind of village. But I would love to be like in Scotland or something, like up on a bluff in this little white cottage with a wood door, with this beautiful big barn. I can go out there and I can do all sorts of, like, I can build things, I can paint things, I can do whatever I want to do. It's like, can do everything that you feel motivated to do. I have like a workshop. And so, and I was thinking I would also have a big pasture where I'd have goats and sheep, because I was thinking even with the sheep, I could start, I would go far into this. So hire an older guy who has been doing the wool for a long time to teach some younger guys. So then use that wool, and then I could even make, I love this pattern now, but make blankets out of my own wool and sell them, and make a business to be able to take care of myself by doing that. So I think, and then also I would totally have, well, plenty of room for Stella to go around. I'd have to get her a friend. And then I would definitely have chickens. So I just see, like, what makes me so crazy is, especially when they keep pushing this on us, how the earth can't take care of us. It's like, I'm watching what they do over here, just bulldozing. And funny enough, I saw a guy this morning who does one of those bulldozers, who was doing this whole thing, making a road somewhere or something. And a little frog jumped, and he was showing the video. How many of you guys would do this? And he gets out to save the frog. That's the thing. They just bulldoze right through every living thing and kill it. And when you realize that everything is realms, everything is like the bugs that are living in the dirt, having their reality, are just as important as the humans up there destroying everything. I always feel even bad when I go out and I start doing something like sweeping or whatever, and then I'll have spiders scrambling. We just go out there super destructively destroying their homes. And that is the different realms of life. And so we've been so destructive to so many other beings and kind of life forms. We have been like, our life form is the most important. And it's kind of part of the whole game to get us to play along so that we destroy everything. But see, you got to have something inside of you that turns on and says, wait a minute, that thing is just as important as you are. Why do you have more right to life? And so it's getting into that more harmonious respect of life and respecting all forms of life. And that is a raising your elevation. It is your vibration just vibrates higher when you have respect for all living things, all life forms. And so that is part of, the process of what we got to go through and learn to respect these different things. But, while they're just sitting here plowing and bulldozing and destroying, and it's just so sickening. But, when they're trying to put all this pressure on us and stuff, because I know for sure if I had that little cottage, which when money starts flowing and stuff and we start having things, that is the direction I want to go. I want to have a place that's like on the beach, and I want to have a place that's up, in the, you know what I mean. I want to have more than one place to live, more than one experience to enjoy. So, when, I'm going to have a horse, I would definitely have a horse and carriage. Like, I don't understand why they keep trying to push this stuff on us. Like, if they really cared about the planet, they wouldn't be saying, hey, we're going to mine and we're going to destroy the planet so we can get these batteries. Because then how long, what point when they're going to turn around and say, oh, you guys are destroying the planet. Look at you guys all need these batteries. You constantly need these batteries. We're going to raise the price of them. And they're going to be so much harder to get. We got a new plan, though. What we're going to do is we're going to have everybody buy this. It's just like this nonstop bullshit. But if they really did care about the planet, they would be telling, oh, sorry, you guys, you're going to have to start building your own homes. You're going to have to start growing your own food. You're going to have to start figuring out other forms of transportation. And then the planet would go back to, beautiful fields and we would be so much more spread out. There's no reason for us to all be up here on top of each other. And, it's all just part of their bullshit. And it's so aggravating. Another thing I saw this morning too is this girl, and she was just showing the video of the grandma. And the grandma was older, like probably around, I don't know, my mom's age or something, probably like 80s or so. And she could have been late 70s, but she had dementia or Alzheimer's. And so she was just totally saying just rude ass shit to this girl. And I was thinking, because before when I was a neuro nurse, then I was ER, then I was mental health, and I worked a lot. I've always, when I was a kid, I wanted to go to school to be, after I got over my thing, I wanted to be an astronaut when I found out I was too tall. But then I wanted to be a psychologist. But then I didn't do that because it was like too much school. And I was like, fuck that. So, but it was always my interest. Like I read a lot of books about it and stuff. So, the mind and how people think and how they work has always interested me. And so one thing is old people they don't come from a time like this where they were taught to talk about their feelings and what they've gone through. And I've talked about this kind of stuff for a long time, but it's just so crazy when I just saw this video because it was like the perfect thing of so, the old people, they don't talk about their stuff. They came from a time where if you weren't strong, then you were just weak. If you had any issues with something, doesn't matter if your brother came in and raped you every night, like, get over it. Like, that's the way things are done around here, And so you would be shamed into having feelings. And so one of the things when the woman was sitting there saying all of this harsh stuff, I was like, the reason she's saying that is because someone said it to her. As a child, that's how she was spoken to. She was told these things, you're too ugly. You're not even worth anything. Why don't you just get out of here? What's all this ugly stuff on your face? And what do you got all these things all over you? You're so ugly and stuff like that. That is, there's a lot of people who have been talked to like that. And there's still people being talked to like that. But definitely back in the day, before people started talking about mental health, people were treated, anybody's trauma just would go out onto the next person. They didn't try and fix it or anything. That's why everything is generational that we learn. It's not one generation that learns it. We learn from each other. And that's why they create the division so that we don't learn from each other. They want to disrupt that. So the one thing is her talking like that is she's talking like she's been talked to, and so she's saying things and all of that because those things are inside of her. It's like the pain that she's carried, and it could have been that somebody said something one time, but in her inner psyche, her it's kind of like you got like you have the pot and it's full of water and it's boiling. It's been boiling so long, and that little hole at the top of the lid is letting out the steam or something, and so it's like these little steam releases. That's what ragers do too. Is just release all the built up tension that energetically that builds up, and they don't know how to deal with it, and they only know how to release it by anger. So just got to go. Like the pot is like announcing, I'm losing my fucking mind here. And so they start raging and put their pain on everybody else. And then they feel guilt, and then they try and clean up the mess, and they just start a cycle because they don't go and learn a more healthy way to deal with their pain. And when you want to deal with your pain, you have to face your pain. And so it could be something was said to somebody one time, just because they're sitting there saying, you stupid, ugly little pussy dick, doesn't, they're putting a lot of words together, they're putting a lot of stuff together and then kind of jumbling it, kind of like a word salad. But they're reliving their own pain and suffering, their own trauma. And so one of the things that has a lot of good help for them is putting on music from back at their time. So, if it was, back in the 20s or whatever, maybe you put on that kind of, like, I can hear it in my head. I don't know what to call it, kind of music, like flapper music or something. And then in the 40s, big band, like there's different kinds of music. And I swear to God, you could go, I always look at the albums at the thrift store. It is mostly those kinds of albums because it's those older people who are dying and the family gives all their albums. I think they take the good ones and then they give the ones that they don't care about. But those albums, you can go to the thrift store and get them for like, I don't know, a quarter probably. But so you can get some of that older music that they like, because I know you can't just find it on the radio or something. But if you get that, and you could even go get them some different albums and get them a little record player and then set that up in their room and let them start doing it for themselves. That's, one thing to be able to give. And it wouldn't matter if they scratched up the albums, because some of them may even have scratches and they're used anyways. But it gives them kind of a something to focus on, to do. So it kind of grounds their mind into action in this world, kind of. And then when you're talking to them, and if they're saying all that mean stuff, it is, I think, a good idea to start saying stuff like, well, who said that to you? Who told you that? Did they say that to you? They shouldn't talk to you like that. That's not nice. And get them to kind of regroup in their mind. So they're kind of like on a script or something, like they're playing a record in their head. But if you get them to kind of go back in and get them to start realizing like, oh yeah, they said that to me. And you know what, when I did that, and you'll hear some disturbing stuff. My daughter, she was a caregiver in an old folks home, and she would hear some disturbing stuff from the old people when, especially old men, and talking about stuff that was done to them and stuff. And, they've never had anybody to talk to, and all that pain and suffering they've been carrying for all that time and been shamed if they even think about it, or, it's stuff you're supposed to let go of. And, but you can't let go of it. That's what the thing is why we just push it in and stuff it down, and we start becoming like a pot that's running dry. Everything's drying up in there, or it's going to explode. So then if you get them to talk about that, then you can get them to like, well, what do you wish would have happened? How would you have handled it now? If you could go back now, what would you do different? And get them to play out these scenarios, because I really think it will help them release their pain and their suffering. I think it will improve their mood and their disposition. And I think there's different things that you can do to ground them, to help them just stay present in this present time. But we also have a huge chemical assault on their minds. I mean, they aren't even hiding it about wanting to kill old people. They're not even hiding it. So if you can, the more that you can help the people, because the government's not going to help them. They just want you to hurry up and lock them up so they can just kill them off. And and I think about all the medicine they make off of old people. They make so much money off of them. But I think what I was saying. So with the Alzheimer's and the dementia, talking about this. Hey, what is that I was talking about? What am I? There's never any coincidences. So with anyways, with their, I think it will help them to be able to talk about that stuff. Will help free them, even if they don't have the same awareness. But the chemical assault is creating the dementia, the Alzheimer's. And right now we're under such a huge chemical assault. Like there's so many people having severe symptoms right now. And one of my comments, a woman said 3 family members died last week in her family. Like it's escalating. 100%, whatever it is they're doing. Yesterday, oh my gosh, I was so sick. I did, when I was going to the bathroom, it was just blood, and I have no idea what the deal is. And even, I saw this one guy, and he was talking about the cleanses, and he was talking about his clients and what he does and all this stuff. So he's some professional, I'm not sure what all his thing was, but he was saying that you have to do it for like 4 months, because they lay eggs and stuff, and when they lay eggs, and they just keep coming back into certain foods, and they crave certain foods. So if you're eating certain things, it's the parasites inside of you that are getting you to eat them, because they put it into your mind what they need so that they can grow. And so it's so crazy. When you have awareness, you're feeding the parasites that are living off of you, even in everything's micro, macro. It's so crazy. But anyways, so he was saying that you need to do the cleanses. And I've seen some other people say, they got partway through, and then they were just getting bombarded and like just pissed off all of the parasites, and they started just devour. And so like legit, I don't know if it is, I think it's the frequency, because of certain things that will affect it more. Like, and they're putting it in all these movies. So if I'm watching a movie and all of a sudden the frequency comes, it blends in with these other ones, and it goes in harder. I don't know how to explain it, but it's something I think that they're doing with the frequency. And then the chemicals, they are making people so sick. It's giving Alzheimer's and dementia and stuff. And then the frequency is so, I don't know. I'm sure that they're monitoring these people of their reactions, and I'm sure some of these people are losing their minds with them turning it up, because they're already mentally unstable. Like, however, the chemicals have already started eating their minds away, and and all these people just dying, and it's so sad, because there's just so many people who just don't even see, like these people who are all freaking out, like, seriously, people, seriously, if you don't hurry up and wake up, we are going to, seriously, this is going to happen. Like, they start freaking out, like, and it's like, but it won't happen, because it's the other thing's going to happen, because it's already set in stone. We are going to go in another direction. It is a changing of this age. There is no going in the same direction, although we are headed in that direction, and I don't know when it's going to turn the other way. Like I've been saying for so long. I thought it would have already turned. I swear to God, I thought back in like 2017 when I was talking about this shit, I thought it was going to turn then. Like, this is just, and then to just see how much worse it gets and worse it gets. But I know for sure it's not going to go into where we are all just, I hope to God, we don't have to go that much deeper into the trauma. I don't think there would be that many people left. I think people are dropping like flies. And I think that that is one of the reasons that Putin is pushing, is because, they know like people are dying at a faster pace. And I know that there's nothing they can do to stop it. And I know it's all part of each person's plan. But I do think that they intend to save the world before we're all dead. So I do think we got to be getting closer, because if they don't, there really seriously will be no people left. Oh, yeah. So in the conversation with my mom, so we were talking about that thing that she was like, about November, I have to do this, you've got to do it. If you don't do it, you're just giving up, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, I am not going to participate like that. I'm still trying to figure out what to do about this ticket. It's like, okay, I don't want to play their games and get sucked into, getting a warrant and then come here, because they're just looking for that, especially somebody who has been outspoken over their beliefs, who's already on whatever list that they've got going. So I don't want to give them an excuse, so I'll pay that, which I'll tell you, and I don't know how it's going to work out yet, but, this is another crazy thing that I did off of listening to people online. And I've heard so many videos of talking about this. Like, I didn't just hear one. I've been hearing this since 2020. I've been talking about this with the straw man or Social Security, how we're used as collateral, and how we're betted again, like we're racehorses or something. And so they that is what that whole system with the Federal Reserve and stuff. So this person was talking about, you can take, he was showing how to do this. So if you go on the back of your Social Security card, there's another number. Before that number, there's a letter. And that letter represents, you remember how I said the other day that we already divided into the 12 districts, like Hunger Games. Like, they've already got the 12 districts. So the 12 districts, it was the Federal Reserve 12 districts. I don't know what other places use it, but they use it. And so the number represents, the letter represents one of those districts, whatever number district you're in. I was in, I think, District 7. My letter was F, I think. And that is Atlanta. So that would be my district. But I was born in the Midwest. So I guess when you get your Social Security card, it's about that location of where you were or something. So anyways, you go into this Federal Reserve their webpage or whatever, and you go and you look for the districts, and each of the districts has a routing number. I have the routing number right there. Right there, the routing number. The account number is your Social Security number. You can go in and pay your bills with it. So I did it today too. I don't know what's going to go through. I went through and read the comments, because after I did, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have the fucking it's a federal crime now. They're going to say I'm going to have to get lawyers to fight for my straw man rights or whatever the hell this all bullshit is. But so I went and I was trying to figure out, I thought, well, I'm going to try and pay my cable bill and see if it goes through. Because mine, some of them have one routing number. Mine had like 5, and you have to figure out which one works. I put in the first one and said, use a number that it works. And so I put in the second one, and it went through. So I paid the house and my electric, and both of them went through. And so in the comments, somebody said that theirs was returned 3 days later. And so I'm waiting to see, if it's going to really go through. But I thought that's quite interesting. And this guy who was doing this video said this is what he's using all the time to pay his bills. He just puts it in and he just pays his bills right out of his Social Security account. So I don't know, and our Social Security accounts are much more than what they are doling out to us, because all the money that they want is just for them. These dollars are just for us to chase around, so we think that we're winning something for work. It's like, no, we're not. We're winning paper money. It's just like Monopoly money. Well, you can buy this or you can buy this. And if you're a bad guy, you don't get to buy another thing unless you go and murder for us. If you go murder for us, you can buy whatever. You don't even have to buy anything. We'll just give it to you. And so their system is such a scam, It's all out to just take from us and take from us. And it's just shocking. Like, I like to see the people who are freaking out, like, oh my God, people, wake up, what's happening? And there are certain things that have really got people freaking out about. And I do like to see that more than the ones who are just so passive. I saw this guy yesterday and he was sitting there. I was listening to him because I kept going, which side are you on? Like, because they get so divided on sides with, and this is what my mom, like, she wasn't getting what I was saying because she is just, you've got to vote Republican. I was like, Mom, don't you... I just kept saying, I'm not voting. I'm never voting again. I'm not voting. I'm not going to vote. I don't care. I'm not playing their games. No, it's a game. I'm not playing. No, your vote does not count. It does not count. And then this morning, what have I seen? Videos saying it doesn't count. It doesn't count. You know why? You know how they do it. You know how it's counted and all this stuff. And besides the fact that here is, we've been mailing ballots the whole time. They don't give a fuck. It's just a game. Fill out whatever you want on it. We've already figured out who's going to be running the show. And the only time that they change is to put in their next person. I think even this bullshit with this Gabby Tulsa or whatever, I think it is part of, like, it is always where they've got to have both sides. And so if everybody gets all hooked on her and is like, oh, see, she's out, she's there for us. It doesn't mean that they are. It just means that and there could really be some legit good people in there. But that doesn't mean anything if people gotta quit thinking these people are on their side. The government is way too big and there is nobody on our side. There's way too many people. All you gotta do is think about how could they please us all. It's a game. And we have got to, and it's where they wanted to build themselves bigger and bigger to create more control, more laws, hold on. It's just another way to control everything about us. So that's all they are trying to do all the time, is to create a way to govern us. And so we're the ones who have to say no. And I told my mom, and I've said it for so long, I believe it's going to go down to small government. Is going to go down to smaller communities, and then they'll figure out how they want to run their community, if they want a mayor or a person in charge or whatever, and then they will have more people be participating. It's not going to be, I don't think people are just going to go back to, here, I'm going to work, here, you make the rules, I'll see you later. I think people are going to be a lot more. That's what people are learning right now, the value of participating in your own life. So people have to see, like, man, look what happens if you don't. And so it's going to become a lot smaller. And most of the people, I heard that 98% of them have committed crimes and they're going down. So it's going to be a big, and another thing too is this lady, she was saying that she was at Denny's last night working, and it was like, I think that when she was doing the video, it was like 2 a.m. And she said at 11:45, when she got to work, that she was the only person. There's no cook scheduled. So open a Denny's and you just have a waitress hostess. That's it. That's all you got. Denny's in the middle of the night. And so she called and they said, okay, somebody will be there in 15 minutes. And it was 2. Nobody had shown up there, but they were having, of course, everybody is drunk out of the bar now, is trying to go sober up and go up, start pounding on the door, filling up the fucking parking lot. She said Ubers were filling up with to come pick up door dashes and stuff, and there was nobody in there cooking them. So see another hole in the system. So people are putting in their orders. They have no idea that their order's not being completed because all this third party stuff that we're always being involved in now. Everybody's got a third party app to, oh, just do this, just do that, which they're going after the Uber now. The government is, they're going to make it where they can't be independent workers anymore. So they're just going to keep running every business out. That's why we have to start valuing things differently, and we have to start working amongst ourselves, even though they're trying to put a stop to that. But, and they know that we can do it. That's why they're trying to, figure out every way to stop us from just becoming our own communities. But they're not going to be able to stop it. It's just going to keep going. The energy's already in movement. It's already going to turn us in the other direction. Hold on, my throat's scratching to death. Hold on. So there is, it's definitely going to go that direction. However long it takes, I don't know. But so she was saying that nobody had showed up. And that, I mean, for one thing, why is she even having to stay there? Why in the world didn't Denny's just say, lock up, shut the door, turn off the lights? And the lady was in the back hiding because she said that the people come up and keep pounding on the door. When you go to the door, they start yelling and cussing at you. They start calling on the phone, and then you pick up, oh, I knew you were in there. Come open the door. Like, what in the world with these people? Like, people are so fucking glitched out, shorting out. Like, how do people think? And so when she was telling this, I was thinking about these people out in the parking lots in their frenzies and dialing their phones. Oh, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. Denny's better be open when I want my food. It's like, this is what people have to learn. This is why we're going through this. So these people can start realizing what the fuck. You've got to start becoming independent. You can't go lose your mind on somebody. And hold on. All of the restaurants are going to keep, everything in the system is going to keep falling apart like that. Everything is going to fall apart because there's nothing to hold it together. And it never was we were the ones holding it together. And energetically, there's enough of us that are pulling free. That is, everything is falling apart. Like, there's enough people who are not going to work, who are sick of going in and working and having nothing to show for it. And people want more from their lives. And that's going to keep going. And that's going to keep collapsing everything. Like, the people who are still going to work, is like, what are you even going to work for? What do you think is going to happen? All of these places are going to be closing down. I get where everybody has to pay their bills and stuff, but there has to be a point where we all just say, hey, we're not paying our bills anymore. Fuck it. We're not paying this shit. And when they turn off the power, the funny thing is too, is, when they turn it off, they'll still send you a bill. They'll still say you got to pay them. And even if I turned my power off, because sometimes when the current is so bad, I think just get up and turn the breaker off. Just turn the breaker off and just sit here in quiet and silence for a while. And I may do that, I may just get to the point where I just turn it off and just sit here. But if, what was I going to say? So anyways, if, everybody, so to me, they should have let the lady go home. Denny's is going to have to start taking a loss, which to me is like, why are you paying to have electricity and paying an employee who can't do anything? Like, what is she supposed to do? Wait on the people, go back and cook and stuff and run out and give it to them and do all that, like, and do the cash register, and like, how mental. And so, especially, it's not like, it's a little diner where like 2 or 3 people are going to show up. It's going to be a bunch of big drunk parties, people coming in drunk, trying to sober up. And then you get the morning rush of the people who, the old people want to come in and eat early and stuff. So I don't know. It's mental. to me. But all of these different businesses and stuff are just showing like they're not thinking of us. They're not thinking of anything. And then these customers who go and think that they need to be waited on hand and foot. Somebody needs to take care of them. Somebody needs to feed them. Like, I just always am shocked still, where I keep hearing people, are still going to fast food and restaurants and stuff. And even people, I'm telling you, people who market themselves as healers and spiritualists and stuff like that, who are going and have gotten these, they go to fast food, they're always drinking or whatever. But also, I think it's totally wrong where these people are like, well, if you want to be a spiritual person, you have to not eat meat. You have to do this. You have to do that. Like, no, you don't have to follow anybody else's rules. It's you. The only rule that you have to follow is the one that you decide that you need to follow. And that it would be following somebody else's rules out of ego, trying to please somebody else. Because there is no rules like that. There isn't rules like... it's just so silly where people try and say it. But then you can also tell when somebody is truly spiritually waking up because they just look at things differently. I just think that there is a big difference between the people who are out of this society, spiritual people, and people who are truly waking up to their spiritual side and really trying to understand this world and who they are, what they are, how this world affects them, how they affect others. And it seems like the other people are just kind of stuck in ego where they just want to have people like do what they say, and kind of like they even want to just be needed. Like, and the thing is, too, is that it doesn't matter, even if I'm psychic or a channeler or any of that stuff, that doesn't make me special. We all have the same gifts. It's just some people haven't challenged themselves and started working on them. But we're all the same. Everybody can do this stuff. Everybody can, hear the other side. Just most of the people aren't listening. And I'll tell you another thing too, just in talking about the things that were here, our challenges and stuff, just when it's very, when you start having a whole bunch of people start wanting to talk to you or hear what you have to say, or saying that you're, just all of that kind of stuff, like, you're so smart, you're so pretty, you're so this, you're so that. That energy can be very intoxicating, even to the point I think some of it could be even the opposing side trying to come in to distract somebody. But that kind of stuff that feeds your ego is very intoxicating, and you can get in your head. And I think that a lot of people are getting in their head thinking, oh, well, I'm special, I'm better, I can do this and they can't, I've got to do this for them and stuff like that. And that to me is not the way to go. It is being a kind of a light holder, a leader, a path, a creator, somebody who's willing to take the first step on a dark path, and then everybody who wants to follow along that path. But it doesn't mean that anybody, no matter where they are in the group, is somebody is more advanced or more better. It's just different people's personality aspects, and when you look at all different aspects, like this heightened alertness that I have to, somebody's trying to fuck me over, and don't believe them, I don't believe them. Like, it boggles my mind still, even this morning when I see these videos where people are pointing out the moon out in the sky in the day. It's like, and everybody's doing it like it just happened. It's like, I've been doing this since I was a child. And I swear to God, when you say things that people can't absorb, all they hear is wah, 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 wah. Oh, okay. They don't, people, like, there's so many people. I think that's where we even start seeing how many people just go out and go like, hey, how you doing? We're just like this automatic thing. Oh, I'm doing great. Oh, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm doing great. People just have these auto response, these auto things that they say, but nobody's really listening, really caring, like, oh, how are you feeling? How are you really doing? You know? Nobody really cares if somebody start going, well, you know what's going on, really what's happening. And they're just like, oh my God, why did I even ask? You know what I mean? People aren't tuned in. People are only tuned in to their own stuff. Like most people are so overwhelmed with their own stuff. It's not like they're trying to be mean to somebody else. Like, I don't have time to hear about your stuff. It's like most people are just really overwhelmed mentally with and emotionally with their own stuff. And when you can really see through this whole thing of what they're doing with the medication and stuff to keep people so that they don't it's like, so you don't start thinking for yourself, so you don't use your own mind and challenge yourself. So in order to okay, so if, just think about it like this. So if everybody wasn't on any kind of anxiety medicine or depression medicine or any of that stuff, and all of these things in the world are happening, and you have to overcome those challenges, because so much of it is about mastering your emotions and being able to put yourself in check. Just like when I hear these people who are like freaking out about New World Order and stuff, and it's like, well, if you went in and you put yourself into your own check, calmed yourself down instead of like completely losing it, like this is going to happen, everybody is on God, and instead you went in and go, okay, so if this were to happen, I'm here for this. I'm here for this challenge. I have faith in myself, and I understand that everything's out of my control. I don't have control over what is going on in this world. No matter how many times they tell you, just do this and you have control, just do this. No, it's a very defeating thing to think that you can go in and control things that you can't control. And so if everybody was at that point where they weren't on drugs and having to master that, we would move into a much healthier society. But see, they want to keep people from doing that, from healing, and from, mastering their emotions, because it's much more profitable to have people that need to take clonazepam or something, so because their anxiety, and they don't even realize how much of their anxiety is created by this weird, social media world of disconnection and frequency, and then the chemicals to make you sick, and it's just the whole entire structure is created to keep people at their worst. And then it takes a lot for somebody to go, hey, I know I'm better than this. I know I can do better than this. I know life has got better things than this. Like, I could live a better life. I would live a better life with less money and more time. And when people start seeing, like, the money that they're giving us is like penance, especially, I just heard this guy talking about too. He was going through the list of everything we're taxed on. It was like, oh my God, they even had tax for the tax. It's like, oh my God. It's so mental, especially because of how they push that. Like, oh yeah, when America was set up, we had the Boston Tea Party, and that was like, we will not be taxed. We're going to pour all this tea in here. We're not going to be taxed by the crown anymore. It's like, no, we got a zillion more taxes. A zillion more. Like, how much stuff we just allow. And my mom wants to sit there and tell me, like, we've got to keep, but that's not the world I want to live in. I do not want to live in this world, and I do not trust it at all. And people can have the best intentions going into office, going into any kind of field in this system. They can have the best intentions, and then they're going to go and find out, they just entered a fucking demon's nest in order to participate. And so a lot of people, they don't even know what to do once they get into it. It's completely corrupt. Like, you've got people like Trump and Putin. I mean, like, if they could go in and take it all down real quick, wouldn't it be done? So how are these, like, oh, just Jane Doe over here, she's going to be our new senator and she's going to take them on? Okay. Okay, I'm buying that. Yeah, we have people who have power and money, and they're trying to take them on. But you're going to just send old Betty Sue over there. She's going to go in and do it. I'm not buying it. And I know I was trying to talk to my mom about some of the stuff going on, but see, this is the division as well with the religion. And this is where I start being like, God, I'm so isolated. But except for the people when I talk to people online. So that is always what gives me joy. Like, oh, I'm not crazy. There's other people who see this. So she was talking about a tribulation and stuff. She did tell me though, back a long time ago, something about Jesus and church and something I did if I said the right word or something, so I would be raptured. I don't need to worry about a thing. I'll be raptured because I said the magic words once, like 30 years ago or something. And so she feels good about that, but she knows like there's nobody else going. I was like, me and you will go. It's gonna be okay. Yeah, but I hear like, but Mama, I think that's like a metaphor. No, it's not. It says that, she'll go through and she'll start saying this stuff like, this is exactly what is gonna happen. This is exactly and then we're gonna go into the tribulation, and then it's gonna be really bad, and then and I'll say something. She'll be like, you don't even realize how bad this is gonna be. And it's like, I see things different. And I see it as more like a metaphor, kind of like the pole shift is the energetic shift of everything going for us right side up. And then it's going to be how dramatic that's going to be to the people who have accepted the upside down as real life. And so when that flips, it's going to turn their lives upside down. And that is going to be their healing journey. And it's going to be a lot of stuff to heal. And we already, like I've been saying for a while, that part of that process is anger. And we know a lot of people don't have control of their anger because most people have not healed their pain. And so we got to go through all of that. That's the tribulation. That is facing yourself. That is facing this world, facing how you participated in the world. And that is going to be hard on a lot of people. There's going to be people who participated way too much. They're going to probably be taken out by people. But there's also people who participated who are going to feel shame to their own selves. Even if the neighborhood doesn't come and, burn down their house or something. Because there will be some of that going on, I think. I think it is going to be a tribulation. It is going to be like like we're in a war. So it's going to be a dirty part of it. But there will be stuff like, I don't know, is it going to be so bad that we're going to be locked down into martial law so that they can keep peace in the streets? And, there's going to be healing centers so people can start going in and dealing with their pain. And, I don't know how it's all going to go. I see it more in like a broader, like if I was a watcher, like my higher self is watching from out there, telling me, so it's a broader perspective. And like I said, they don't give me details about stuff. Even yesterday I found myself like questioning some different things. Well, if this works this way, well, how does this work? Well, how does this work if this works this way? Like, how is it, if everything is set, how is it that we even create karma, and how do we get things out of balance? Like, how are things allowed to even be made out of balance and stuff? And it's kind of like color and movement, the way it moves and stuff. And it's kind of like if you put things out of balance and you didn't put them back into balance, it's kind of like turning the rainbow upside down or something. Like things have to go back into balance. I think it's how nature works. And you can't get confused between the physical reality and the natural reality, which is the supernatural reality, because the natural, supernatural has its own way of working. It just works in movement and how it defines itself in action or something. So it is it's just this constant movement, and we are these synapses of reality that sparks from the energy that is created by the consciousness of this whole universe. So anyways, the higher self does see and has a perspective of being able to see. And yesterday, or whatever it was, I think Tuesday, when I went up there to the food bank and it was dark out and the big giant moon was up there, and I was showing how the moon was up and the sun, and I just saw guys doing a footage, and the moon disappeared right in front, and that's what this moon did too. It just disappeared, didn't set like what they tell us. It just disappeared, like it turned off the light. It's so Truman Show. It's so crazy. So anyways, oh, what was I gonna say? It was something with the moon. I don't know. I start going on all these different things and start talking a mile a minute. Anyways, hopefully I said something. I've already been talking an hour. Hopefully I said something that helps somebody. Anybody can ask me a question though. And you can still try and send me some sort of ESP message. And if I say something that you sent me, then put it in the comments, because I want to know. I want to start trying to understand, our ways of communicating and how we're all connected. I find it really interesting. So anyways, I will go. Anything interesting happens, maybe I'll come back and post or record later this afternoon, so that I do have one in the morning to post, because I know, like, sometimes people like to, they build their routines, get up and drink their coffee, and Mr. Wolf used to do that. He used to get up. I don't even know if he listens anymore. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but it used to be kind of his routine. He said he'd get up and get his coffee, and then he'd sit and have coffee with me, like, and listen to me talk. So anyways, hopefully I said something that helps somebody. I really, I know a lot of people just want to know what's going to happen, when's it going to happen. And I know it is very stressful. And that is this mastering, learning how to master your emotions and have faith and trust in what's happening, trust in the plan. And I think I forgot to finish saying the other day about this one guy that I saw him going off on the conspiracy theorists, and then going off on the Q cult and stuff like that. It's like, dude, do you realize you were talking off a script? Like, you were just exposing that you just listened to CBS or NBC or whatever. You listened to a certain group, because that is nonsense. It's just fucking nonsense, some of the stuff, But all that is going to be exposed. There's no reason to fight with anybody and try and convince them of anything, because when everything flips the other direction, we're all going to see our truth. Everybody is going to see their truth, and you have to be prepared to see it, because so many people, like, just think about how you see people doing certain things and they have no awareness, but you can see straight through it. So that is going to be, we're all going to be able to see ourselves that clearly. And it's not like, it's like the universe is going to just do you a favor and making sure you see it, because this is your opportunity to break through the muck and figure out what is the part of you that you want to hold on to, and what do you need to release, and how do you release it, and how do you become your best self. So it's all of that work. That's what all of this is happening. And it is all for this new age, but not everybody is going to go directly into it. Some people may transition out and then come back. And what is interesting too is the people who transition, like the lady who said 3 of her family members died last week. They transition out and then they come back. They can come back. It's still, even if they come back as something different, like, we are going to be elevated. We are going to be evolved. So I think we're going to be able to recognize people, even, like, we won't just know them as we know them in this life. We'll know them in more lives, because we're opening ourselves up to our spirit story, to our spiritual knowing, not just the physical knowing. Like, we're taking the veil off so we can see the whole truth. So anyways, it's all a process. It's a beautiful process, but it's a painful process, and it's one that takes resilience, and it has a good end, because at the end of it, you learn how to love yourself and accept things. And another thing too, I bet you this is happening to other people, so I'll share this, is this woman, she was talking about, oh my God, everything's going so great. I'm getting all these offers. I got this offer. I really want to just go do, I don't remember what her thing was, holistic healing and essential oils or whatever it was. And now I've got all the, like, my job wants to pay me more, wants this and that. So I just went in and commented and said, the universe is going to continue to make those offers to challenge you. So you have to continue to figure out, what is it that I really, really want? What is it I really want? And that is what is going to keep pushing you. And it's going to keep testing you. And it's going to keep asking you the questions. Okay, well, we go this direction. Is this what you want? And it's not because you have control. It's not like you can change the direction. You can go another direction. This is your higher self trying to understand itself in the scenario. So it's watching itself. That's why when you sit and talk to it, it's funny. I'll sit and talk all the time to them. And I'll tell them, like, you don't even know how hard this is. Like, it can look real easy up there, but it is hard because of the emotions and stuff. And so that's where I'm always getting, they're always telling me about, you got to master them. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? What are you going to do? What are you know, they're always telling me different things to do. So that's why I'm like, try and share them. But anyways, you will continue to be challenged. So don't think like, oh, I'm all healed. I'm all doing great. Now it's all fixed. I'm all good, because it won't go that way. You will go into your next lesson, or the challenge will come up to push you harder, to see like, okay, it's kind of like you make a decision and you put your line in the sand, and they want to see, are you going to move that line? Are you pretty sure? Are you good here? You know, but you got to remember, it's your higher self that is looking at itself. It's to watch itself. It is like when we all, like, it kind of, when you want something, like for me, like wanting this little cottage up on a hill or something, like this life of this different kind of life. And when you picture it, you know, you want to close your eyes and you want to picture it. You want to see yourself there doing it. And that is me then creating this avatar to go in for an experience so I can look at that experience. And that is what we are doing here for our higher selves. We are here so it can go in and witness itself in an experience. So anyways, you know, I'm sure I'll talk more about that because I always talk about it. So anyways, I'll talk to you later.